Right. Hello. Welcome to R&R Productions. I'm your DM, Maria Oglesby, and this is MissGuided Magic, an all-fem homebrew 5e game where players use both brawn and brains to unlock the mysteries of Omalia. We are joined today by Julienne slash Beth.
Hello.
Hone slash Kristen.
Hey.
Scoria slash Chris. Brosco slash Allison, and Beetlebug slash Abby.
Howdy, howdy.
Yes. So I'm just going to start off by reading you guys sort of the campaign overview. Since this is our first session, we have done some one-shots before and indicated what some of the campaign might entail, but this is our first time fully starting in on it. So I want to give you guys a decent idea of what you're in for. So Vertoven and Fendere have been at war for over 200 years. These are the North and South nations in the middle of the map there. So it's, no one's quite sure how the war started, but there have been so many retaliations tied together that there's this just a huge amount of blood and animosity involved. The Vertoven king, Abjas, is widely considered to be a good one, and as PCs, you harbor a sense of goodwill towards him. He's a good guy. You don't think he's at fault for anything, but no one gets the sense he really wants bloodshed, and he's wanted peace for some time. However, Fendere's previous king was not of like mind. However, the king recently died, and with a new ruler coming to place, the queen has proposed a peace treaty. In general, it's something to be wary of. There was a peace attempt made 20 years ago that went horribly wrong. The Vertoven dignitaries sailed along with Fenderan dignitaries who had sort of sailed over to Vertoven to pick them up. On their way back to Fendere, the ship was attacked. The king was meant to be on that vessel. He took ill shortly before the vessel departed and sent Tibby, who you guys have met, in his place. She was one of the few survivors. She remembers a lot of purple smoke. From what she recalls, there was a strange sound. When she came out onto the deck, there was a cloaked figure and a purple haze of smoke. The vessel exploded, killing many people aboard. She hit her head and didn't really remember too much until she sort of came to in the water. Tibby is determined to interrogate and investigate the 6 surviving politicians who have been stationed in Fendere and figure out who is behind it and figure out any would-be assassinators that might harm the king, who she's clearly in love with, but he seems pretty oblivious, before he comes to sign the peace treaty. You guys are sort of a compromise between the two of them. You know that Tibby is considered sort of his right hand, while he's a very charismatic, friendly person, and he's incredibly likable, and it's easy to see why the people love him. You get the sense he would not have gotten very far without her to watch his back. So their compromise was, instead of sending politicians for this new peace treaty, they send some people who are better able to take care of themselves. You guys, you've been recruited for various reasons, and as you are sort of trained the last couple weeks in various political and court proceedings so that you can pass as politicians, it's been impressed upon you that you need not reveal that you are in fact mercenaries. The more they think that we are straightforward, the better. They've done a huge thing and offered a teleportation scroll into the palace itself, which is a really big deal because in this world, teleportation scrolls by their nature sort of give a shorthand sigil of where a location is. And that location can be copied and used in other teleportation sigils. So they're essentially saying here's a shortcut to the front door of our city, and you can get past our gates, you can get past all our defenses and send your politicians directly here. They're sending it on good faith, assuming that you guys will do the same. So it's up to you to make sure that is indeed good faith, to make sure that no one is, out to kill your king, to prevent an assassination, a continuation of the war. It's going to be up to you to negotiate the terms of the peace treaty. So be thinking about what terms you think are important to you and your character and what terms are important to the other politicians who are with you. There were 3 other politicians who have been sent ahead to represent the various parts of Vertoven. And those politicians, along with Tibby and a number of, a few trusted servants, were sent ahead with a first teleportation scroll. A second teleportation scroll was also provided for you guys. You guys needed to complete your training, gain your half proficiencies and political-esque things. And so you were a little farther behind. But as you complete your training, your tutors in their respective fields, exhausted trying to drill half proficiency in you in just 18 days, you emerge from your respective tutors' offices where you were studying, gather your things, and make your way to the main hall where the king himself is waiting for you. As you guys convene, I'd like you all to describe yourselves, please. Julianne, as you're the first to enter, can you describe what you look like?
Yeah, so Julian is fairly tall. She's got long, dark hair. She is dressed in business attire as a pseudo politician now. But she stands confidently and is doing an okay job of faking it right now.
Fair enough. Hone, as you enter behind Julianne, could you please describe yourself? You're muted.
So Hone is a tall, lanky fellow with long silver hair, kind of tied back in a ponytail just to keep it out away from his face. Normally you would see scars and all over his face and hands, but he's put on some makeup just to like hide that away. He's wearing fine clothes, just to look the part, and he's carrying some historical books in his arms. He was just finished, or cramming historical events in his head.
Fair enough. As you enter, sort of like lost in your thoughts, you bump into Brosco as he just sort of like slams his door open, like darting out of a room. Brosco, could you describe yourself, please?
Yeah, Brasco is he's very tall, just under 7 feet, I think, half or full orc. I keep wanting to say half orc. He's full orc, baby. All orc. He's got his hair braided down the center, sides shaved. He's changed his clothes a little bit. They just look a little cleaner, a little tidier, all still wearing sort of shades of black and gray and very unassuming sort of colors and leather armor. He's got a cloak with a hood, and around his neck is a hardened leather sort of lower mask piece that he might pull up occasionally. He's got a variety of things hidden on him in his gear. Amber eyes, and a wooden case kind of hooked to the back of his waist, with a couple of other pieces of gear attached to it. He spent most of the last few weeks learning how to be a little more presentable and a little more persuasive. And he kind of just sort of steadies Han a little bit and be like, careful, careful.
Fair enough. And as you guys make your way into the main chamber, Scoria and Beetle emerge. Separate respective rooms where they were studying, but they quickly gravitate towards each other as they move toward the rest of the party. Could you start by describing yourself, Scoria?
Scoria is a short, not unassuming at all person. She has long purple flaming hair that's almost shaved on one side, but it's more like the flames just don't grow there. She's got what looks like tattoos, but is more like etched into the skin symbols that purple flame kind of seeps out of a little bit. And in lieu of her usual basically sheer over her leather armor gown, she's got a more presentable, like almost like velvet overcoat dress thing over her leather armor for this. And you can still see the playing cards sticking out of the top of her boots, though.
Fair enough. And Beetle, could you describe yourself?
The woman is such a curious term to describe the creature that is currently hanging on to Scoria's arm in lieu of a cane. Because there's a fight about that cane because it is a gnarled piece of wood, as gnarled as the creature that stands before you all. A hairless tabaxi who's very advanced in age. She is 90% wrinkles, 90%, 10% anger. Just these acid green eyes look out from just piles and piles of pink wrinkles splotched with patches of black and orange and gray. And her large bat-like ears are just twitching all around the room as she's muttering, stretching her back. Just the cracks and creaks of arthritis and age follow this woman. And she's dressed herself, although really it was Scoria who dressed her because there is again a fight about that. She's wearing a nice purple gown, suitable for a woman her age, flexible, but she doesn't seem to be very happy with the situation.
Oh, come now, shall we match?
Yes, but it's not what I'm used to.
Fair enough. So you guys make your way into the main entry hall of the Vertoven Palace, which I'd like to take a moment to thank Artflow, Midjourney, and Wombo for the AI-generated backgrounds that we are seeing today. Thank you for letting us use them. And as you make your way into the center of the palace, it's still vaguely foresty. Like you can see like a lot of trees growing up from inside, sort of woven into the architecture, a lot of potted plants. It has a very calming feel to it, but even this isn't enough to tone down the sense of apprehension in the room. As a number of courtiers move forward, just sort of like preparing an area for you, there's a large sort of platform, which you know, as you saw Tibby and her companions off, is where spells are performed. The king enters from the northern chamber. And this isn't the first time you've seen them. You've seen him briefly earlier, and I believe he said like a quick hello to you as you are hired, but it was mostly him speaking to Tibby, who was speaking to you, although you were all in the same room. This is the first time that he has given the full weight of his regard to you, seeing you all step forward. And while he's known for being very kind, now that you see him in person and are, seeing his regard on you, you really understand why it is that this single descriptor has spread so far, from almost over large brown eyes to like this soft melted chocolate whisper of a half smile on his lips, and just sort of like patchy furbolg fur, long elfin ears. Everything about this man sort of invites you to tell him your secrets, and it gives a sense of comfort on a cold day. He gives you a warm welcome smile, sort of gestures forward. He's the sort of person who's going to wait until you're quite close to him to begin speaking. And when he does, the volume of his voice is low and timbrous, but clearly not trying to put much of an effort into projecting. If there's anything you guys would wanted to discuss as you approach before you engage with him, you're welcome to. I wasn't sure if you had anything planned.
Scoria does give a little bit of a half curtsy to him before she walks in that direction.
He gives like a faint smile and gives you like a courteous half bow in return. Giving you all a broad grin as you approach. He steps up onto the platform, kind of looking down at it, bobbing back and forth on his feet. Well, I do appreciate you all coming. Thank you very much for everything you've offered to do for our country. I want you to know it is appreciated. You're about to embark on a mission that, while I wish was a safe one, is nevertheless incredibly important. You hold the fate of much of Vertoven and the rest of Omalia, perhaps, in your hands. I'm sure the conditions of treaties have been discussed with you, but please, I'd like you to know that peace at any cost is the priority. Whatever you can do to encourage that, I fully condone. Please, of course, some of this is for you to spend. Please feel free to spend it on yourself if you believe that would best behoove your mission. And he's going to give you each a pouch containing 500 gold. You know that this is half of what you've agreed to be paid for your stay here. This is in part an expense purse. However, you can take whatever payment you'd like from it. It's generally assumed there will be some left over, though if you would care to spend it, you can. You can see his steps grow a little bit lighter as the weight of the gold is removed from his belt pouch. he gives you all a slight smile as you just sort of like regard the gold, probably more than any of you has ever held at one time before. Although Brosco, you may have seen more of it at some point. He gives a cough and kind of taps his chest a little bit. And you do remember that you've heard that he's fairly sickly. And although the war has been going on basically since his reign started, his health has been kind of intermittent, and there's been a lot of talk and worry that if a new king or queen were to take his place, they may not be so lenient and so keen on peace. And you see a little bit of a hint of that. Please, do you have any questions before you depart? I'm sure your tutors have been over much with you, but if there were any questions, anything left in doubt that I can assist you with. Although, of course, I'm sure Tibbs has told you some of what to expect.
Indeed, Your Grace, I did have one inquiry, as it were.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
was curious as to what you mean by peace at any means. You do not seem like a warmonger, not like I've seen in my years, but what do you mean by this? Would you wish us to inflict harm on others if it comes down to that?
I can't see that pushing towards peace. I only mean that I would like to protect you as much as I can, and as citizens of mine and brave adventurers who have agreed to embark upon this mission, I would very much appreciate, of course, the danger you are putting yourself in. However, if your actions lead to something that I cannot condone without inciting more war, this is, I suppose, you would be on your own. However, if something else happens, something where being protected could in fact contribute to peace, if you make a favorable impression on someone, if you act against somebody's wishes in order to make a deal, or perhaps do something that you may not have approval for yet, I would encourage you to act.
Hmm. I see. I will take this into mind, my lord. And she sort of withdraws within her cloak, her worm-like tail waving side to side slowly as she mulls this over. He's got a lot of sweet words, that's for sure.
Okay, he gives like a puzzled tilt of his head and a smile. Tib should be waiting at the other side to greet you, and if you need anything, the servants that she's with have been trusted as my personal servants for many years. They have no reason to harm you in any way. You should be able to trust them to clean anything, bring you any food that is not poisoned. You should be able to trust them in your quarters. I believe you'll be given a separate wing. I do hope you don't need these. However, I'm of the mind that given the history between other countries, they may come in handy, perhaps be necessary. He's going to pull from the bag resting on his shoulder a blue velvet pouch for each of you. So it's up to you how you would like to divide this. You have 2 uses of the Dust of Disappearance, 2 uses of sleeping powder. This needs to be mixed in food or drink and will take about 30 minutes to work. 4 vials of Lesser Restoration, 2 Greater Healing Potions, 5 regular healing potions, and 2 potions of freedom of movement. I'm going to paste this in the chat if you guys would like to quickly sort of divide up how you would like these.
Well, I don't know that I need to carry the healing potions, so if anyone wants to hold on to that.
Might be
Yeah.
good for us to split those up amongst ourselves.
In case of an emergency, of course, it doesn't do well to be, well, you know, as they say, don't put all your alligator eggs in one basket.
I'm certainly no medic, so yeah. I'm
And
pretty.
of course,
Go ahead.
and of course, I hope you do know that these are not things that should be easily found upon your person. Please do hide them in a pocket, a pouch. Of course, having healing potions is not necessarily something to be frowned upon. it may raise questions as to the sort of behavior you expect. We would, if at all possible, like to show our full faith in peace as much as we can.
Well, the most we can say is that there are for an old woman's ailments, but rest assured we will be subtle, I'm sure. And as Beetlebug says subtle, she gives Scoria a look.
Subtlety is just beneath how I look.
Oftentimes, the best things are hidden under something with a little more vibrato.
True, true.
Now,
She should be fine without any of the healing stuff as well, because she does have some of that cleric there in her.
I'll snag. If I can have at least one, I'd like one lesser restoration and one, like regular healing potion. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I probably don't need the Dust of Disappearance because I do still have me and Han actually probably both still have a potion of invisibility.
Yeah, we
from
do.
last time.
Nice.
From last time. Yeah, I mean, there's 5 regular healing potions, so we could each take one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Each get
Yeah.
one regular. I'm gonna take a restoration.
I'll take the freedom of movement. That sounds.
That's probably really good for
I'll
you.
take those
Yeah.
sleeping powders, personally. I have ideas.
I think that's a
Oh,
good
no.
idea.
I'll take one of the dust of tracelessness.
I'll also steal a greater restoration or greater healing if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, you're frontline fighters.
Yeah.
Rogue!
Yeah, I might as well take a greater healing potion too, since I find myself in the front for some reason.
Add to backpack. Potion of dodgy potion of healing. What is that? Sorry, I'm looking at like
It's a risk. That's what it is.
Your
There are
Grace,
things-
explain.
on D&D Beyond, when you enable homebrew, it shows the homebrew list of everybody who's in the campaign, as opposed to
yeah.
just, and it shows every campaign the DM runs as well. So please ignore things unless you know they're canon or unless
Yeah.
the DM add them.
Greater.
I love that though. I just think it's funny.
I think Julian would take a moment to speak to the king one-on-one with, the rest of the group around, but she would say, Highness, I hope you have faith in our group. Personally, I think that ending this war is maybe one of the greater things I could do with my life. But I do wonder, is there a timeline here that you expect us to follow?
Well, I will be here to sign the peace treaty in a week, which is 9 days.
Yeah.
If you can find any potential assassination attempts by then, all the better. However, it would be an inconvenience, but if you think it is a matter of life and death, you can call a postponement of something. Please just find a reason that seems plausible.
Sure. Okay.
I think the general plan is to, regardless of how it may more passively affect the country, is to seek peace at any cost, which implies maybe not so favorable trade deals, things of that nature. Is that correct?
Indeed. I fear that conditions that are too unfavorable may result in a rebellion or a revolt of some sort, as things have been on edge lately. And there's like a serious tone to his voice that cuts a little bit harder than the sort of like soft, warm velvet he usually speaks with. However, if you believe that is truly the only way to achieve peace, I would encourage you to do so.
Of course. I only mean to clarify, you know, Your
Give
Highness.
where necessary, but without completely overbalancing it.
It's a delicate operation, and the ideal here is to acquire peace without causing unrest within our own country or breaking out an all-out war.
Right. We seek an end to the conflict, not a coup.
Yes.
Right. And to give you an idea, like he's basically saying if you guys go like murder hobo, they have nothing to do with you. And they didn't know how you got here. However, if you need extra authority for something or want to promise something that you don't necessarily know if you can, just do it.
Yeah, and that we'll deal with it later.
Basically, yeah, we'll deal with it later.
We'll fix it in post.
Your Highness, are there any key figures that we should be on the lookout for, or key figures who would push, would you think be allies on our side?
Well, Tibbs is certainly an ally and the politician she is bringing with her to represent the rest of the country. You as newer politicians, newer faces representing other areas will have a little bit more leeway, and she should have a list of potential suspects once you get there. But I do believe that the politicians of Fendere who were involved in the peace attempt a number of years ago are still very much present and politically advantageous in their various situations. They will most likely be those who you have involvement with. Whether or not this has warmed or chilled them towards you, I can't say. We haven't seen them since this last attempt was made.
Are there any terms that have been offered in the past that have been vehemently turned down? Things we shouldn't offer or mention?
Vertoven cannot be absorbed into Fendere.
It's fair.
Suppose if you do have a number of questions, Tibbs has a sending stone she can use. However, it's something only once a day, and ideally it's meant for emergencies.
Sure.
I just want to ask real quick, the group, did anybody take the Dust of Disappearances?
I took one of them, yeah.
Okay. Sleep Powder both went to Beetlebug. Everybody got a regular healing potion. And one of the potion of freedom of movement went to
Julian.
I'll take the other freedom of movement one. That could come in handy.
I took a greater, so that takes care of the potion of freedom of movement. I took a vial of lesser restoration. So there's 3 vials of lesser restoration, and 1 greater healing potion left to my count.
Oh, I took the greater.
Okay, so there's 3 vials of lesser restoration if anybody wants to snag one of those.
I'll grab one of those.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
grab one.
All right, cool. So that's 2. Anybody want one more? I'll take it. Just I figured I might as well like just go through the list of like yeah, okay, cool.
Right.
And I'm assuming vial of lesser restoration is just a use of lesser restoration.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Rock and roll, baby.
I wish you every ounce of luck I can. Thank you again for what you do. He holds the teleportation scroll out to you. Who would like to read it?
I'll read it.
Before we do, I think Brasker just wants to say thank you. May not make a lot of sense at the moment, but this is actually very beneficial to me on a personal level. So I appreciate you entrusting this with us.
Furrows his brow a little bit, nods. Of course, we all have things we'd like to escape. The war has not been kind to many of us.
Yeah, don't worry, it won't affect anything on this. It's just thank you.
I hope not.
No, not at all. But thumbs up to the leader of the free world. Sorry.
Fair enough. Hone, you unroll the teleportation scroll and begin to read, sort of sounding things out phonetically. Are you proficient in Arcana?
Ooh, not at all, but let's go.
All right. So you have no idea what you're reading, but it is written out phonetically above the various runes. So as you just sort of like twist it, it is written in a circle. So you have to kind of move your arms and you're like, there's gotta be a better way than this. Kind of tilting your head from side to side while still trying to look elegant and poised. The words start to take shape as you very slowly, with a tongue like sort of clumsy for misuse, just stumble over the words. The scroll begins to light up and you see the area around you begins to sort of glow, and the circles that are built into the platform you're on begin to take shape as the runes that you're reading manifest. All of you, I'm assuming, are on the circle. The king backs up, watching you go, hands behind his back, as several servants come. As you start to leave, he begins to cough violently to the point where like people have to rush forward and hold him. He sort of like doubles over. You see that there is a little bit of blood on his hands. And as like you're interested and you're sort of wondering, but Hone, as you start to read something, the words of the teleportation scroll like shift slightly as you read it. And it takes you a moment to sort of like stop and like really look at what you're paying attention to. And you're realizing you have to hyper focus on this. As you start to read, the runes begin to sort of like shift counterclockwise, almost as if they're moving. And then they start to spin like cogs in a wheel, spinning faster and faster and faster and faster. And as servants sort of like crowd around the king, someone like pushing a vial to his lips, a like cone of light explodes from the circle that you're on, and you guys feel yourselves begin to dissolve as you're pushed in a direction. It's a very odd feeling for anyone who has not teleported before. And as you move forward through sort of like light, you see flashes of things. You see like an enormous like ancient oaken tree with like a series of like squirrels running single file up it, and they're all brightly colored. And then you sort of flash and you see for a split second like soldiers looking down into a chasm. One of them like drops a ball bearing down and waits for it to hit the bottom. You move forward, you see the poisonous mushrooms and putrid sort of like acidic waft of the fallen grotto as you like slit over it. And as you do, something pulls at you, and a tendril of purple smoke begins to weave around the magic that you've wrought. You guys are shunted sideways. You all take 2 points of psychic damage, and you are slammed into a hard surface. It feels almost as if, as you sort of begin to reconvene, that you're pushing through the membrane of a bubble before you're sort of shunted through it. That's where the psychic damage comes from. And you find yourselves in a very damp cave. There's a haze of purple smoke around you. And as you look around, you know that you are most definitely not in Fendere.
I may have messed up.
No, I don't believe that was an error on your part. And Beetle like picks herself up very gingerly. She's old. She bruises easily.
Everybody okay?
Scoria's kind of like
Yeah.
putting her arm next to the purple smoke, seeing if it matches like what comes out of her skin.
I mean, they're both cool purple. It kind of like crackles a little bit.
Scoria, get away from that. And Beetle immediately jumps up from her and pulls her away. That could be dangerous. God, girl.
I'm gonna take out my hooded lantern as we are apparently in a cave, and assess what's going on around us, at least see if we can't see what's happening.
Julian is very anxious, seeing the smoke. Tibby mentioned purple smoke on the ship, and she's going to look around and see if she can see anything. I have very good dark vision, so I'm very curious.
Hooded lantern is bright light in a 30-foot radius, so helpful. I don't know.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
don't
here,
use my kitty
maybe-
supervision.
Maybe I can actually make it a lot easier for us. I will share with all of you the Eyes of Night, which will allow you dark vision in a range of 300 feet.
Nice.
So
I
this should maybe make it a little easier for us.
love that.
Keep an eye
Julian
out.
raises a hand, and this bone white light just sort of like moves into shrouds around you, almost like a smoky mask. And through it, almost like looking through a pair of glasses, you guys can see into the darkness.
Scoria pulls a mirror out of one of her pouches and it's all like, oh, I like it.
Looks
Played
Excellent
it.
work. What was it? Juan? Julian?
Julienne.
What?
Excellent work, I have to say. Wasn't able to
Happy
do
to
that
help.
even in my
I played a Twilight cleric in a campaign with Maria for a while. It's so much fun.
It's really cool.
They're so cool.
Chad has gifted anybody who needs it inspiration.
Ooh,
Somebody-
Nice.
Pinky Chad.
Yeah.
Chad. See you Thursday.
And as you guys look around with your newly minted dark vision, you see mushrooms absolutely everywhere, all various shades of purple. Is anybody proficient in nature?
I
That's
am.
me.
Okay, make a nature check, those of you who are proficient.
It's gonna be fun. We got a ranger. We got whatever the hell beetlebug is.
I unfortunately only rolled a 10.
Oh, you have
I-
inspiration.
Oh
I
my
do.
God.
I'm actually just going to burn that inspo from Chad if everyone's okay with that.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, you can do that. I didn't roll good.
All right. Let's see. Come on, better. 11. Oh, wait, I didn't roll with nature. I just rolled the d20.
Oh,
try that again.
inspiration is a d6 added to your original roll.
Okay.
Oh, re-roll.
Reroll.
Nice.
20.
Okay. Yeah, with a 20, you do notice that the mushrooms are clearly either poisonous or there's something going on with them. Taking a look at the gills and the sort of stage and light they're in, you can tell that the spores are probably what's giving the purple haze to this area. You can also tell, just sort of sniffing them and inhaling like some of the spores at once, you can tell that they're kind of caustic. You guess that long-term inhalation of this is probably not good for you. It's not a great idea to stay here long-term. You don't think, like a few hours here is going to kill you, but it's definitely like, these are not good things, and you're not sure what would happen if you hit them, pushed against them, disturbed them in any way.
Yeah, you just watch
Scoria pulls out
Beetlebug.
a couple of
Oh,
the empty vials that used to have swamp water in them and tries to see if she can capture some of the smoke and stopper it.
Okay.
okay, the group just watches Beetlebug like sniffing very gingerly. You know, like how cats will just like delicately sniff something and then they do that gag sound? That's what Beetlebug does. Just that. All right, everyone, cloth over your heads. These are dangerous. And she'll pull up her. She's wearing her rattier robe under the nicer robe. So you just watch this disgusting stained cloak come over her mouth. I don't believe it's dangerous, but be careful. These things could be very dangerous to your health long term.
Put my mask up. Yeah.
Scoria, you can make a medicine check if you'd like to attempt to gather it. You would have to get it from a mushroom, most likely. The haze in the air, there's enough
Yeah, we
atmosphere.
can actually go down to one where it's like the spores are. Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
also like to do the same thing, actually, if that's acceptable.
Sure. Let's say make a medicine or nature check.
That's a 19.
Okay, you're able to sort of pull apart some of these giant gills and pull at the sort of like almost butterfly dust of sort of spores that cake along the edge of it. And you're able to get a very small amount into your vial.
Slide
got
that top of my boot.
I got a natural one, so don't worry. I probably broke the mushroom immediately.
Yeah, I would say you take your vial out and you go to gather something, and in doing so, you step on a smaller mushroom that is beneath you, and the spores explode from around you. You're going to take 3 points of poison damage.
That's fine.
They
Let's-
just said that these are dangerous poison mushrooms, and yet both of you are just digging right in. This is
Her,
going to
I'm
be
used to
interesting.
it. I'm used to the
This-
deliberate disobeying, but you, and she like musters up all her little height to look Brosco in the eyes as best she can. I expected more from you.
I could use this in the future. I have
Yes, but
certain.
it's not worth your life at the moment. Maybe
I'm
when we're out of the cave.
I'm fine.
What would you use it for?
Could use it to coat your weapons with.
Scory will take it out of her boot and hand it over.
Oh, I will take that. Yeah, it could also be utilized in poison. We don't know specifically what these mushrooms are. I don't know what they're called, but
I
could
mean,
be
I know
useful.
medicine-wise that it's useful, but I'm not real sure I could do anything with it. I don't have like a poisoner's kit or
Are
anything
you-
like that.
Are you the poisoner's kit, Brosco?
I am proficient. I don't know if I have one.
Okay, if you're proficient in it, go ahead and make an intelligence check and add your proficiency bonus.
Wait,
Let's see,
Yeah,
so you can determine what it could be used for.
okay, that's not too bad. You said proficiency and intelligence?
Yeah.
17 total.
Okay, so you get the sense that with the amount of poison you took from smashing one of them, this small amount might serve to give somebody like indigestion or a coughing fit. If you wanted someone to feel sick for the night or like they maybe got food poisoning, this might be a good thing to add to something that they drink or eat. However, it's not enough to do serious damage to somebody.
Okay, I'll take a kind of give it a closer look and sort of just inspect the mushrooms and go, well, if we actually end up where we're supposed to be, if anybody wants to give somebody maybe indigestion or have to leave a party, that's what this might be useful for. I'll tuck it in
I
my
now
bag.
have the
just in case.
Pepto-Bismol song stuck in my head.
But yeah, it's powder. You can't really coat your blade with it unless you were to mix it with something, most likely.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. I'm assuming, are you going to make camp? Or are you going to look around? What would
I
you like to do?
guess I mean I would
I
love to try and get
wanna-
out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Beetle is
wanna look
looking for next set.
Yeah, so I think I want to try to like feel if there's any like air movement, or like, using our newfound vision, see if there's like an exit or some sort of way out.
I mean, you can see the way out. You can look at the map.
The way out.
You know,
Oh, map.
sometimes I
That
forget.
is.
I forget. to
Yeah, I
look at
forgot
D20.
about that.
I forgot to open
already.
up Roll20 because I'm on one screen. So
Yeah, the map's on roll 20.
Okay.
Look around.
Is
see.
could I actually take a look at the teleportation circle and see if there are differences between the one we were sent in and this one, things that might seem off, or if this was intentional?
Well, the scroll is like a single use item, so it disappeared
Sure.
after you used it.
Okay,
This thing over here is not related to that at all.
Oh,
gotcha.
let's
I
go
would
look
like
at it.
to check
Take a
that
gander.
shit out.
I love that shit. And when it's like, oh, that's not the teleportation
No,
scroll.
no.
That's just a thing. Yeah,
Let's
I'll go
go.
with Julianne and everybody to see what that's about.
Yeah.
Oh, my nosy little ass is definitely gonna totter after y'all.
So you make your way
Alright.
over and you see the beginnings faintly glowing, still with magic on it, but ever so disrupted by mushrooms that have begun to creep up and grow along it in the time it was gone. The beginnings of a circle. Is anybody proficient in Arcana?
Nope.
You guys have no idea what it does, but it's clearly magic. There is a skeleton lying next to the teleportation circle. There are also 2 books, a knife, and a sword around the creature, as well as a number of other things that look like they may have once been clothes. If you guys want to sort through it, you can, but it's up to you. There are mushrooms sort of buried in the corpse, so you're going to have
Oh,
an investigation check in order to sort through it and not be poisoned.
Okay.
let's go.
I would actually love to attempt that.
I
gonna
will,
I have
say-
a -1 to investigation, so I probably shouldn't.
I'll help Julianne out with that and maybe just like hold pieces of the bones to the side or
Yeah, I
No.
got a 21.
just give you
Hone
a
did
give
it
you
too. Okay, yeah. Let's see. Well, first rolls. Crap. All right. A 19 with a little help from Roscoe.
Yeah, just
With
I'll hold these.
With Brasco pushing and moving things aside for you and like very gently pulling the mushroom back as you reach into something, you were able to sort of gather in general what the skeleton had on him. All right, you guys are able to find a set of once fine clothes, now mildewed. There's a number of like some pretty gross decay and like a lot of fungus where it looks like the body has, like the flesh has sort of like been pulled off the body by whatever has grown around it. A humanoid skeleton, a pouch with 13 gold pieces, what looks to be the remnants like wooden pegs where there may have once been several scrolls wrapped around something and part of what may have once been a book, but it's clear that these have decayed due to time. You can also see 2 books that appear untouched and the sword and dagger, which are heavily rusted and appear non-magical and very decorative. I would say on the dagger, there are a few semi-precious stones, like a number of garnets and a little bit of amber that you can take if you would like. The blade itself is rusted, and I would say you'd be rolling like a minus D4 with it if you were to actually stab something, but the hilt may be valuable or distinctive. You also see a crest with a piece of ivy on it. Something as if like it was used as a clasp for a cloak and is metal, so it's not decayed, but it is also rusted.
I will
Is it
pick up the rusted
familiar?
dagger as well as the little crest. At the very least, we can hopefully identify who this is because they may have had something to do with, or at the
Yeah.
very least, we're at fault of whoever messed with our teleportation.
This might be something we want to tell Tibby about.
Right. She knows more about those noble families.
She does. Is the crest at all familiar?
Are you proficient in history?
I
I
am.
have had proficiency.
Yeah, Julianne, you can make a history check.
18.
Okay.
Ooh.
You do recognize this as one of the more notable families in the Vertoven nobility. This is one of the Waslin family members.
Okay.
That'd be good to bring them home, maybe. Can I take a look at those books that are the ones that are still, legible?
Yes. So you can grab both of the books. You can tell that one of them seems to be a journal, the other a spell book. However, there's some sort of spell placed on them to stop them from decaying. So while the other things in this person's pack it looked like are lost to time, these 2 have been magically preserved. In the back of the spell book, you notice that a number of pages have been ripped out. In the front, you do see a number of spells. You cannot currently use them, like copy them down because you are not wizards, but you can cast them as if they were spell scrolls. However, afterwards, the spell will dissolve.
I'll pass that book off to Julianne since I know she's got some magic in her. But then I would like to open up the journal and skim to the final page and see if there's anything interesting in there.
You're gonna start at the last page.
Well,
Sacrilege.
That's where the interesting bits are.
no,
Are
that's
you a
where,
barbarian?
it's where the we know what happened is.
True.
Besides, the early shit's probably all just romance or whatever people write tales about. I don't need to know about their.
Maybe about their childhood dog.
I don't need to know about all their courtly romantic affairs.
So I would say these. Oh, I should have asked. Does anyone read Elvish?
Yes.
I do.
Yeah.
I
Fair enough.
don't.
I am
Julianne,
an
if you were
elf,
born-
so
Fair Julianne, as you took the book, you would recognize the inscriptions or the labels on these spells. There are only a few in there, but the attached in Roll20 are the spells that you can now use as a spell scroll if you would like.
Cool.
Well, it looks like we can now turn invisible. We've got a knock spell, disguise self, witch bolt, and fireball. So if anyone needs any of these,
Mighty
I mean,
handy.
I wouldn't say no to Fireball.
Fair enough.
of course
I
you
would say-
wouldn't.
There are a few other spells in there, but they don't have shorthand, as in like the wizard had not prepared them that day. So you're uncertain of what else they are, because without being proficient in Arcana, it's going to take some time to decipher, but you could ask somebody else at another point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Curious that a wizard was carrying such destructive things in his grimoire. Hmm. Most likely succumbed to these mushrooms, unless, and I would like to take a closer look at the bones to determine if the cause of death was anything violent.
Okay, make a medicine check as you go over the bones.
I will give her the help action by pointing out what I see.
Hell yeah. Remind me of what help does?
Gives
You
you
do
advantage.
advantage.
Hell yeah. So we're gonna roll twice. Boom. Ooh, that's a dirty 20.
Nice. We love a dirty 20.
Without touching them, and I would say with your high investigation check, the rest of you have not touched them either. It seems that there are a number of vines wrapped around this thing's throat that you would imagine are the cause of death.
You just watch Beetle's eyes widen, Scoria, as she looks in deeper. Oh, carnivorous species, not in a cave now. They're usually such sun. All right, I think we've had enough time in here. We need to leave now. And Beetlebug heaves herself to her feet and is just tottering towards the entrance. No explanation.
Scoria kind of runs up and links her arm through Beetle's, even though she's much shorter than Beetle, to help her walk.
Okay. If we're all retreating, I'll probably, since I don't speak Elvish, and I'm assuming that's what the journal's in, I'll look over to Han and ask, do you think you can read this last page or so? See if we can't see what he was up to in here.
Yeah, can I attempt that?
Okay, yeah, just let me scroll down.
Watching Abby's icon slowly
Yeah,
inch away from the
slowly
screen.
moving away.
I'm being immersive.
Okay. So this is Revisai the 20th, dated some 20 years ago. It says, at this point, I doubt any of them are going to return alive. There's something whispering in the dark, something moving. I know something's there. I can't see anything. I hope that if by writing out this plan, if anyone else is stranded here, they might stand a better chance than we did. Please, if you make it out, tell Lonnie I never wanted to leave. And then the line runs off the page as if the writer had dropped the pen.
Plan. Okay. Can I skim through the rest of the journal to see if, I don't know, if there's like steps that are written down or like.
I mean, there's clearly a lot written in there.
Yeah.
If you want, I could read it.
I mean, I think since my comrades are on their way out and probably have left already,
Well,
I'll
do you
hold
guys
off.
do you guys want to wait here and read a book, or do you want to leave? Because you can't really like flip through.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's what
things.
I just
if
wanted
everyone
to. I was I mean, if you're staying behind, Brasco's probably standing with you because he had the journal, and so I think if he saw you just standing there, he'd probably go
Yeah.
nudge you and be like, "Let's."
I feel that Hone would.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, since holding the journal, he would probably end up being very hyper focused on it and like reading and like trying to read through it.
Brasco will take him by the shoulders and just kind of gently like, you go ahead and read that. I will direct you along with the others so that we don't die in a cave full of mushrooms.
It might be best. We
But-
can read it right outside, but I don't think we should stay in here and
But this
read
is
this
so-
any longer.
This is
I
very
agree. Can I just
interesting.
pick
You know-
up by the shoulders?
I'm assuming he wouldn't want that, but that's
He's just very engrossed with the book right now. He's just like, but this is very interesting. I really would like to know what happens.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pick him up and get him to the outside and just put him down.
Beetle. I'm sorry, I hadn't realized you were standing in the bush. As you move to the front of the bush, something within it wraps around and grabs you by the ankle, and you are currently grappled. You're going to take, as it grapples you, you feel these sharp spikes begin to grow out of this sort of vine that's labbed onto you and start piercing you from where they've grabbed you. You're going to take 21 points of poison damage. This vine sort of like ensnares around you and begins wrapping its entire length around your body.
21, you say?
Yep.
Oof.
Well, I was just going to take a seat Beetlebug was going to take a seat by that bush to calm down after experiencing those carnivorous vines, only to be pulled into it and disappear, and I am down.
Fair enough. I'd like everyone to roll initiative.
Go.
Cool,
I was gonna say I only have 21 points maximum as a rogue.
Same as Clairlock. I only have 21.
I guess I'll do that instead.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, Gloria,
2.
Julianne,
5.
Hone,
Oh, wait.
Hone. No, call it your initiative.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna use Dead Ambusher, so I rolled a dirty 20 and I add my wisdom modifier to it too, so it's 23.
Okay, Brosco.
I got an 8.
Okay,
Mine is actually 18. Sorry, I forgot I have advantage on
Okay.
initiative.
And Beetle.
Oh boy.
She's dead,
I'm
so.
I'm dead.
Yeah,
No,
your
still-
Still roll it though, because death saves.
Yeah.
Will do. All right. First death save. Let's see.
And
That's a 7
Wait,
Okay.
for your
No,
initiative or?
for
First
initiative.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were rolling death saves yet, and I was like, not time yet, girl. Not time yet.
right. Hone, as Brosco is holding you, I'm assuming you're grappled right now, but you watch as Beetle begins to lean against this bush, and this enormous vine like wraps around her like a slap bracelet, basically. Grow out of it, and it begins to drag her back into the bush.
Okay. I noticed that, and I'm
That's
just
right.
like, Tabasco, let me go. Clearly, he doesn't remember everyone's names. So.
Yeah, and Bresco's not like he's got no interest in really holding on to this person for as long as he has to, so he'll just immediately like, yeah,
Yeah, you can use your reaction to let her go.
not whatever.
Yeah, and I'll rush over and I will try to pull Beetle out.
Okay, so make I believe it's athletics. Yeah, it's the athletics check.
Athletics, okay. Hey, that's a 3.
All right, you try to pull her from the vine, but as you do, you realize that the spikes that are embedded into her start to like tighten and sort of move inwards almost, and you're hurting more than helping, and you let go.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's your action. Is there anything else you'd like to do with your bonus?
Let's see. And I guess I will. Can I? Yeah, I'm going to put Hunter's Mark on it. And I'll try to move back the rest of my movement. So that's, yeah. So I'll move back probably, 10 more feet back because I have an extra 10 feet.
Okay. All right, as you move back, I'd like you to make a strength saving throw.
Mm-hmm.
There's just sort of a sucking sound as several of the roots that are embedded in this muggy ground pull up, just sort of like bits of moss and algae sort of flying off with it. And they move around and try to lash around your feet as you step back.
Mm-hmm. I made a 19.
Okay, you're able to nimbly sort of dodge out of the way as you dance back. Right. Is that your turn?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Julianne, you're up.
Okay, I'm going to move towards the mouth of the cave, but stay away. Do is it obvious that there's like any like central part to it, or is it just vines coming out of the ground?
Well, there are these bushes up ahead and it came from
Yeah.
in the bushes. So it's kind of covered in there. But if you would like to burn them, hit them, I would say the bushes themselves don't have a very high DC if you want to help expose something.
Please
Okay.
don't burn Beetlebug. I don't want to be cooked chicken today.
Okay, so Julian is going to just send a moonbeam kind of a little bit further back. So because it has a I think oh shit. Sorry.
15 feet?
It's a 5 foot radius, so it's a 10 foot square, and yeah, so like right around there, just to see. I don't want to get too close to any of my compatriots, but I want to light it up a little bit.
Okay.
So
What's your
oh, go ahead.
What's your passive perception, everyone? Is this
Well,
area
15.
14.
16, but I am not conscious.
you're in? Hone, as this is lit up, you manage to sort of from your angle peer through some of the branches to see a creature just sort of like covered in vines, sort of moving almost insect-like through. All of the vines are pushed forward, concentrating on Beetle, and slowly spikes are growing as this thing just sort of like starts pulling her inwards.
Within that beam, if there's any of that in there, they would have to make a DC 14 Constitution save or take radiant damage. So I
Okay.
don't know if I am, if I'm on it yet, or if it's just a bush.
Yeah, it's pretty close to her.
Okay.
We check con. That's a 15.
Okay, 15 will make it. So that would be 4 points of radiant damage.
Okay. All right. There's a sort of hissing sound as the moonbeam like pierces this creature, and the creature scuttles to the side ever so slightly. You guys catch movement even if you don't necessarily see it.
Okay.
Roscoe, you're up.
I'm going to dash forward, not the action dash, just regular dash forward. And I'm gonna kind of grab Beetlebug, and I want to use my dagger to slash at the vines that are wrapping around her and try and cut them.
Okay. Are you making an athletics check with flavor, or are you attacking the creature?
Oh, I'm attacking. Sorry, I'm attacking.
Okay. Go ahead.
Specifically trying to, get those fuckers off her. That's an
You're an
18.
angel, Rascal.
18 hits.
Okay. And I don't get...
You do because you have an ally right next to you, don't you?
Well then. Sorry. I'm learning how to rogue still. 2d6 is the other thing. Okay. So there's that, and then I'll roll my d6s over here because I love to swap it around.
Right. In future, we also use the optional steady aim rule. So you can always use your bonus action to steady aim if you haven't moved on your turn, if you need to get advantage to get sneak.
13, wait. So that's a 13 total damage
Okay.
on these vines.
Okay, the creature hisses, and you see the spikes loosen ever so slightly as it sort of like pulls away, but it is dragging at her.
Yeah, I'm just gonna try and keep a hold on her. I know I can't make a check right now, but yeah.
You guys are gonna tear me apart.
I got you. Don't worry. It's gonna be okay.
All right, Beetle, make a death save.
Oh boy, first death save. Let's see how this goes. Roll to everyone. Okay, thank God, that's a 12.
Okay. The vine's turn. It is going to dig its claws even more deeply into you, and it is going to move you farther back. That is 2 failed death saves as you take damage.
Oh no, guys.
You guys got 3 healers in your group, just saying.
Wake me up so I can piss on this thing.
Victoria, you're up.
All right. Scoria is going to. She's going to dash into the bush after Beetle and grab onto the vine that's holding her, like down away from her though. And she's going to use Burning Hands.
Okay.
On it. So that's a dexterity save of 14.
That's a 9.
Burn
So
it.
that is 14 points of damage.
Okay.
Fire damage.
The creature hisses as this it like recoils back, like clearly badly hurt. As the fire explodes around you, several of the bushes and twigs around you begin to catch as well.
Nice.
All right, Hone, you're up.
Oof. Okay. I would like to. I will come closer to Beetle, and I will try. I'll kind of grab. I'll grab her arm, and I'll try to cure wounds her.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go. That is a 7 to heal.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, you don't roll to heal. You just roll how many hit points you're healing for. So
Yeah.
grab onto Beetle's limp body, and as like Scoria just grabs this thing and burns it, you take her limp hand and sort of push some of this healing energy into Beetle. Beetle, you sort of come through in a haze, like to see Hone grabbing onto you. These like vines like piercing you, but you can feel this sort of radiant, almost unearthly energy like pulsing through you and healing you faster than you should be healed.
Howard, what's happened here?
You're dying.
It hurts, and I don't like it.
All right, Julian, you're up.
Okay.
Is it at the top of your turn that Moonbeam acts, or is it the top of the creature's turn?
So it's the top of the creature's turn, but then I can also move it
Okay.
on my turn as well. I would like to move it off of my friends just a little bit further back.
Here?
Yeah.
Okay.
So at the very least, it'll illuminate if it's not on the creature this round. But otherwise, if it is, it would still be another con save.
Okay.
And then I'm going to have her sort of run over, again, still keeping distance. And I'm going to just cast a guiding bolt right in there.
Okay.
19 to hit.
19 hits.
Okay. That'll be 16 points of radiant damage.
Okay, you throw your guiding bolt into this creature, and the creature cries out. And part of the area that is burning just sort of continues to burn. The holy fire sort of catching onto it as it moves back. It's getting to the point where you can see this creature now.
Okay.
Visibility is getting better.
Okay.
Oh.
Hate it.
I'm
Okay,
not dying
so
to this bitch.
that'll be the end of my turn.
I
Okay,
like
Rob,
it.
you're up.
It's ugly.
Yeah.
I want to help Beetle. I guess I'll scoot around here. And can I try and jump on this creature and attack it?
Like grapple it?
Nah. I guess I'm just trying to. Yeah, I think I'm trying to make it pay attention to me, as more than anything else. So I'll just make an attack roll,
Okay.
and see if I can maybe just get its attention, on me instead of on Beetle.
Okay.
That's an 11.
11 misses, unfortunately. As you sort of stab at it. You're very careful not to hit Beetle, and the creature like moves at exactly the wrong time. You're able to pull your hand back just in time.
All right.
All right, is that your turn?
Yeah, I guess that's all I can do at the moment.
Right. Beetle, you're up.
Oh boy, I am awake and I am upset. This thing has inconvenienced me. How dare you? I am going to cast Acid Arrow.
Is that a ranged attack?
It is.
Okay, so it will be at disadvantage because you're in melee with the creature right now.
Gotcha. All right, that's a 13 and a 15. So that would be a 13.
Okay, 13 just hits.
Oh, all right.
Sort of move back and fling out acid from your hands, and it spatters across the creature, which cries out.
And it is taking 9 damage.
Okay. The creature hisses and digs its spikes more sharply into you. That's a 15 to hit, I think.
Oh, that hits.
Right. You're going to take 11 points of poison damage. As the creature just sort of like pulls you into it. Like you can now see part of it sort of tendrils of the this almost like fleshy tar-like plant material pulling back to reveal jaws as it like opens its mouth.
Oh no, and I'm down again.
Scoria, you're up.
Scoria's going to reach out to Beetle and cast Cure Wounds.
Okay.
Cure wounds, cure wounds.
Learn your lesson, you old bitch, and run.
That's 9 points of healing.
Fair enough. You again come to as you feel Scoria's familiar heat racing through your body, like pulling you back to life. Anything else, Scoria?
Nope. That is it.
All right. Hone, you're up.
Okay. Question, did I lose my hunter's mark because I had cast a cure wounds?
I don't remember you saying you cast Hunter's Mark.
I
Yeah.
I heard it.
Okay.
You
Well,
only use concentration if you use another concentration spell or you take damage and don't roll well on a concentration check.
Okay. And does it take an action to take out my longbow or?
no, it's a free
No.
action to draw something. The idea is like drawing a sword is meant to be easy, but like finding the point at which the sword goes in the sheath and putting it back takes an action because you have to actually look at it and pay attention.
Okay. Cool beans. So I'm gonna draw my longbow and
Okay.
I'm gonna attempt to you know, try to aim behind Beetle and shoot.
Okay.
All right. So that's a 14.
14 hits.
Yep. Okay. So that's that number plus, that's 9 plus 1d6. Oh my goodness. Hello? What did I say already?
9 plus 1, so you rolled 10
Yeah.
damage.
Yeah, 10 damage.
Okay. Your longbow comes out and sighting down the arrow like you have 100 times before. The arrow slams into the creature's open maw as it tries to consume Beetle. The creature lets out a pitying, just sort of like plant-like hiss, almost as if something is like burning in the sun. As it sort of flops wetly to the floor, the spikes retracting, and now you see their tiny slits are essentially like teeth that were embedded in this thing. Beetle, as you are released from your grapple. The creature is dead. As it dies, it flails around and you see that the inside of it is actually anchored to the ground in some way. And as it flails, sort of moving back and forth, the plants and vines around it begin to flail as well, sending out an almost rippling wave out into the swamp. As you look out before you, the area itself begins to move.
Can I pick up Beetlebug?
It's up to Beetlebug if she wants to be picked up.
Scoria's gonna cast another Cure Wounds.
Beetle, you mind if I pick you up real quick?
Yes, of course, Sunny. Yes, please. And also, it's worth adding that Beetle is counted as a small creature. So
Oh, good. I think I'm technically considered when I'm carrying people anyway, that I'm large.
I rolled
Um,
an 8 on an 8, so you get 10 more points of healing.
thank you,
Nice.
Scoria.
I'm medium. I'm a liar. Doesn't matter. Oh no, I do count as one size larger when determining your carrying capacity and the weight you can push, drag, or lift.
Yeah.
So I will pick up Beetle and just kind of throw her on my my back as a sort of like, okay,
Second
don't know.
backpack.
kind of. I'm gonna get
Okay.
you out of here.
You can definitely do that. Beetle kind of slung over your back. You look out, there's a vast swamp in front of you. There are like a number of different directions, sort of looking out, more trees to one direction, more sort of like hazy mist to one direction, and more like swampy wet areas in one direction. But it's pretty uniform aside from that. That sort of poisonous spore-like mist and purple smoke sort of swirls through the area. And it further emphasizes the areas far off in the distance that have begun to move at the edges of that ripple that you now see fading off into the horizon.
I'm gonna just back up some into the mouth of the cave.
Okay.
I don't want to go all the way in the cave. I just want to get maybe some like dirt under my feet rather than grass.
Gotcha. This is actually stone, but you can definitely do that.
Stone, yeah, sure. With Beetle, I'm just gonna kind of back up so that we have something that's not plant life under our feet for the moment.
All right.
It's never acted like that before. I don't know. There must be something wrong with the earth here if those things are so violent.
Yeah, don't love that.
No, but I don't know that there's another way out. There wasn't another exit from the cave that we saw.
Yeah, I'm just regrouping. I don't know about you guys. I just
Oh no,
Yeah,
that was
let's do
terrible.
that.
Okay. I have I do have oil in some flasks with me. I don't know if anybody has any torches, but I do think fire might be a good idea at the moment.
Scoria uses produce flame and holds the flame in her hand.
Very
It's a good
good.
thing for that because I left all of my stuff. This is all I have right now. We were supposed to be, dealing with political things and
Yeah.
oh boy.
I just thought we'd have to deal with some curmudgeonly old senators and whatnot. I wasn't expecting this. And Beetle gestures at her legs where the thing grabbed her.
Which
And I must-
which
You
one would
think
you
they're
prefer?
very deep puncture wound.
Jeez.
honestly, I would take this any day. At least alligators would just you hit them with a pan and they leave.
Fair enough.
I'll say, despite your youth, you're all very experienced. I'm grateful to be with you lot.
Yeah, this could have really. I mean, no wonder the guy in there died. He was alone, and I get. It looks like his friends left.
He had similar vines around his throat, I noticed, which is why I thought to leave the cave.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, the book, and he continues to read.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't.
Our compatriot almost died. Back to the book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be safe anywhere at the moment, but I do feel like we might have at least a little bit of a better chance just at this edge here.
It might be a good idea to perhaps burn a barrier around. The things seem to be a bit weary around flames. Why don't we try burning a perimeter?
That's
That
a
way
good
we don't have to
idea.
be in the miasma, but we also won't have to risk another attack.
I think
Smart.
that's a
You can
very
take inspiration for that.
very good
Yeah.
idea.
And just sacred flame all around.
Nope. I think that's radiant, not fire.
Yeah,
Balls.
just sounds creamy.
Could I light actually, like, I could probably pick up a stick. Could I like light a torch on Scoria and like start like burning a perimeter?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I've got a flame in my hand.
And it's good to do, teamwork. I'll put Beetlebug down and maybe just sort of start making, like, I'll take out a flask of oil and start sort of spreading it around the area, just
Okay,
this sort
I'll
of front area.
just
Also,
say what
wait.
you
I've
can
got
definitely-
something, and you watch Beetle like searching around in her folds and like between them, her wrinkles. She pulls out a flask of what appears to be like really weird sand. This is from a life leech. I believe if I were to sprinkle it around, it might be a good dissuasion. And she just takes a little pinch, and where the burn perimeter is, she's going to sprinkle a little of it just out to the wind, just so these things can get that sense of unlife.
Okay. As you guys burn that area, there's like a wiggling and a writhing from stuff that's underneath the moss. There's like layers and layers of like sort of wet detritus. It takes a lot to burn it. I would say if the oil, it'll burn anyway. And with Scoria's magic, but you get the sense that things are moving out from under it as the area sort of sinks in on itself ever so slightly as it
As
burns.
that happens, it's definitely Scoria starts going back and forth across the whole perimeter and not just the circle, like inside of it where we're going to sit.
Okay. You want to burn this area too?
Yes.
Yeah, you can do that.
It's a good idea.
Are you burning these mushrooms near the entrance or no?
No, I would say that after having seen them, it would just be right at the entrance and kind of making not just a little block, but also like just a circle big enough for us all to sit and camp if we're going to camp.
Okay. Yeah, you guys are able to sit and gather up. Hone, as you're reading, flipping back to the beginning of this, the first entry is dated Revisa the 5th. So they lasted about 15 days from what you gather. It is also dated 20 years ago. It reads, I can barely pen this, so badly is my hand shaking. I don't know if we're the only ones who made it out or if we're the only ones who were thus cursed. Should we make it back, I am determined to commit the events of this night to memory as they happened, with the assistance of my fellow survivors, if it is indeed what we are. Glenn Volmer of the Shadowed Grove, Selinar the Flyfoot, Nora Ross of the Honeyed Lake, Elid Preda of Vertoven, and myself, Jorn Waslin. I was with is crossed out. I was taking the air on deck when purple smoke began to swirl from somewhere farther up the ship. Making my way forwards, I spotted a cloaked figure. I called out and the smoke turned wraith-like claws throwing me to the ground. I shouted for anyone on deck to flee, to get help. The claws sank deep into the wood, smoke writhing around them, and runes appeared beneath me as the figure chanted in a voice that sounded not humanoid, but as if it was some creature speaking through it. The creature was all but hunched and seemed to emanate purple smoke. More I could not make out through the haze. The claws pulled at 4 others of us, all from Vertoven. I fear someone asking for their aid had doomed them to the same fate, as we were all pulled to the ground. The runes beneath us lit in a swirl of purple smoke, and we found ourselves here. And it continues on for a number of days as the entries go by, realizing that their mission had been subverted. The diplomat, Jorn, and their party sought to return home. But when the party tried to use the sending stones they were given, they didn't work, which means from what they could gather that they were sent to another plane or some sort of pocket dimension. DeJorn thought that he could craft a teleportation circle in order to get out if the dimension was small enough, which looking at the horizon, it seemed to be fairly small. So he was clearly a wizard, and he thought he could craft one if they explored the area and he was able to gather enough information about the area to create a custom signature. He instructed his friends on how these signatures worked and how to collect them. The first night they were here, they were attacked. One of the diplomats was killed and the ground ate him. Terrified, the remaining diplomats realized that they had precious little time to escape. So instead of exploring the area together as they had previously agreed, with almost none of them having any self-defense abilities, they decided to split up because they didn't have enough time. They would be sure to die if they all tried to explore the place. So in order to craft the teleportation circle to get them back, they needed to map out and decipher runes associated with where they were in order to complete the scroll that would take them away from this plane. So splitting up, each of them had a piece of non-destructible paper from DeJorn's spellbook and instructions on how to create the appropriate rune. They set out with DeJorn left behind to sort of craft the rune as it was, trying to make like a sort of a template to plug in the different pieces of the plane, but their hopes weren't high. Before they left, one of the spellcasters was able to grant some measure of protection, casting a spell that would hopefully stop them from being eaten by the island. So if their corpses were found, hopefully somebody would be able to locate them, or maybe it would make the island not want them. The island seemed to have other ways of disposing of the diplomats, though. From what Jorn could gather, they were not coming back. It had been 15 days. He couldn't stop hearing voices. One of them seemed to attract animals made of smoke. One of them was hearing things in their head. One of them was like having like vivid nightmares of things that had happened to them in the past. Jorn doubted that they were going to return. And as they sort of like pen those last words, which tell Lonnie I never wanted to leave, you gathered that the noises they heard had been one of these vines or something similar that they had succumbed to.
All right. So Hone closes up the journal. He looks at his comrades and he says, "This is not the first time this has happened. There had been other diplomats before us 20 years ago who have found themselves here too, and they too have encountered the mysterious creatures that are in the ground. And the body that we had found, his name was DeJorn. He was one of the diplomats from Vertoven. I'm not sure what they were diplomats for, but DeJorn,
last peace mission.
yes, probably.
So is this
So
a setup? I mean, it seems,
Somebody does not want peace.
Indeed,
Yeah.
they sent us here to be consumed by whatever was out there.
well, and it sounds like we're on an island. So that's
Let's
scary.
Hone, keep does it say more, Hone?
yes, so that mysterious circle that we saw next to the body, that is our way out. That is a teleportation circle that could get us out of here. However, it is missing pieces. And the diplomats who found out they didn't have much time, they split up in this cave to find the pieces to it. However, they all perished. That they were all on their own. So it was mentioned that they were going to go together to explore the areas in this cave, and I believe that is what we should do.
Stick together, find the pieces, teleport back. Is that sort of what I'm getting from this?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. And as you guys sort of like look out at the sort of like misty moor fog, as the swirling smoke begins to sort of undulate, indicating things moving, we're going to cut to break. We're going to be breaking for 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll be back for the last hour of play. You're back. What would you guys like to do? Looking out sort of over this sort of undulating purple swamp, sort of acidic spore mist in your nose, gentle fire sort of burning in front of you as the ground sort of writhes in pain, undulating away from you. What would you guys like to do?
Did they say where these pieces were left?
That is a good question. In about the cave where all the deadly mushrooms are. So we would have to look together inside this cave.
They're all in the cave?
DM, can Scoria activate her background feature of never tell me the odds? And since we're trying to figure out the odds on the best plan, get a solid sense of which choice is likely the best one of go back into the cave or continue exploring out in front of us.
Well, I'm pretty sure that the pieces that we're looking for aren't just in the cave. I think
Yeah.
they're all over the place.
Yeah, Scoria, I would say the survival, or wanderer background or hermit would be more apt for something
Okay.
like that. Odds are know the information. It doesn't mean that you know your odds of survival.
Gotcha.
But good try.
Good try.
It was worth a shot.
I'm gonna sit down for a couple minutes, and I would like to use some of the string and oil from my my pack, and I want to wrap some string around like maybe 5 of the arrows that I have, because I do have an arrow and a thing, and just soak them in oil. Just let them kind of do that a little while, just to kind of give myself some kind of maybe ranged fire thing I might be able to do at some point. Is that acceptable?
Yeah, you can do that.
All right, so I'll give myself 5 potential fire arrows. They're not lit, but I can at least do something with them. And I think now would be a great time. Cough, 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 cough. Take a short rest, maybe. Cough, 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 cough.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna.
Yeah.
I'll sit down.
Looks over at Beetlebug, and he's just like, "Are you okay?"
It's only a flesh wound. I need to sit down for a moment, I think. And we'll probably be able to form some sort of mask or whatnot if we have to go back into the caves, but I could use a rest.
It has been a while since you've been munched on. You had thought your crocodile days were over, and just sort of like inspecting your flesh, you do notice that there is some scarring there, and it just sort of there's a sense of defeat to it. Just sort of like looking over the rest of your wrinkled skin and remembering what the rest of your family looks like as you inspect your wounds.
No, perfect, flawless, and then there's just me, even at the whims of nature. This is my reward. Truly, thank you for the blessing, Hilario. And you hear Beetlebug say that part aloud as she kind of just withdraws within herself.
I forget that as a warlock, a short rest is great for me because I get my spell slot back.
I would say you can take a short rest. Nothing jumps out to attack you while you're there. If there's any conversation, role play, or anything you'd like to do during that time, you can do that.
Scoria is definitely like not necessarily like coddling Beetlebug, but like getting things for her and like making sure she eats a little bit of ration and
Scoria.
Yeah, get your strength back up. You're muted, Abby.
I was like, damn it. I appreciate the effort, Scoria, but I'm hardly decrepit. I just need a moment to rest, and I rolled hit dice. So Beetlebug is like, I imagine she's literally licking her wounds. Like she's got her leg up in the air. She's licking it.
Full cat. I love it.
She's a creature.
Owen is just covering his eyes.
Oh yeah, like the nice dress probably was shredded by the plants. So now it's just back to the raggedy old cloak.
He likes it better that way, I'm sure.
She did it on purpose.
You do have the second set of fine clothes though, so you will be fine when we get there.
Don't remind me.
How long have the two of you known each other? She'll look at Scoria and Beetle.
Oh, it's been about a little over a year and a half.
A year,
I stumbled into
63
her spot.
days, and a month or so, give or take.
All right.
Would have taken you a number of months to travel from where you were to where you are now.
Yeah, I figured that it was about a year and a half prior that they had met and Scoria stumbled into the swamp. And then about halfway through that, they started their travels.
30, 40, 60. Yeah, would it have taken you like 64 weeks to get to where you were?
Not bad.
Quite the journey.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe it's been about 2 years. I have to amend my timeline because
Yeah.
Yes, it's been a while, is all, but she's like my
Oh,
own.
so not a long time, right? 2 years.
Well, maybe to you pointy-eared lot, but for some of us, that's quite a bit of time.
I
I
mean, I
hate to
am
break
only
it to you. You
20?
you have pointy ears too, Beetle.
Yes, but I'm not
Yeah.
obnoxious like an elf about it.
Fair.
How old are you, hon?
He pauses and he's in deep thought. I actually don't know.
You don't. Your mother didn't tell you when she shot you out of her wretched womb how old you were.
Wouldn't I be 0 years old when that happened?
Gods, man, I don't understand any of you lot.
Is
Do
that
you
what happened
remember-
with Beetle? Like your mom birthed you and then she screamed, at you, "It's your birthday today!" I told you the date.
Tabaxi are very particular about their birthing rituals, but Beetle is definitely in
Oh my
shock.
God.
I love that canonically. Backseat birthing ritual.
Just grab this hairless pink little larvae. You're 0, bitch.
Oh, and do you remember the last birthday that you can recall? I mean,
I don't celebrate
Back
my
on.
birthday. I
You
have
never
no
saw
need
anything
for
worth
it.
celebrating.
On,
See?
make a history check.
Oh.
Raska's just sitting listening to all of this, like,
Okay.
Who, what?
I said, Han, make a history check.
Cool. I also have half proficiency in history, so does that mean anything or
Not really.
10?
You have like kind of thinking back, you hear like flashes of things, but you're not able to fully recollect a memory. But you do remember the feel of like someone placing a hat on your head and like the smell of honeyed cake. And you remember that there was a birthday sometime with someone. You can't remember the details.
Oh. That seems like a pleasant memory. But that was a long time ago.
A
He's just
long time
mumbling to
ago
himself and he's like not really actually giving explanation or description to what he's remembering, but he's just saying stuff.
Yeah, Beetle, like as he's like doing his old man muttering, is just gonna sniff, like in that derisive granny kind of way, and just kind of she's been ripping up strips of cloth to make into masks for when we go back to the cave. But as she's doing this, just ripping, putting things together in her own wretched little way. She's just going on by her own. I've spent 83 years on this planet, and let me tell you what, you learn quite a bit. Especially when you spend it on your own. You learn that you don't need anyone. But I suppose assistance.
If you're
is-
looking closely enough, you see Scoria pouting as she says that behind her.
oh,
But the important part is when you're older, you realize you never stop learning. And what I've learned is that, well, maybe I do need a little bit of help, as I've been shown by people in my life. And she kind of gives a begrudging look towards Scoria and then towards everyone else. After all, whatever these wizards did to escape this wretched place is going to need teamwork. And she also holds up the mask. She's sizing it for Brasco. It is absolutely filthy cloth, by the way. She's holding it up to your face to size it to.
With that,
do we
you're okay.
know,
I got one of my own. It's okay.
Oh, of course.
I appreciate it.
do we know from any of the names that Han saw in the journal if we know if any of these diplomats made it out of here and like have been seen elsewhere?
When you trained with your various tutors and they briefed you on the people that you were going to be seeing, and every time that Tibby has mentioned the people you're going to be seeing, you don't remember these names. If you're proficient in history, you can make a history check.
I am.
Half proficient.
It's only a +1, but I'm still proficient.
Nice.
19.
Okay. You vaguely remember some of these. I mean, you know that Selenar was a tabaxi who had like some renown, sort of in the political field. From what you recall, they were famous for like working as assistants, sort of like one of those people who had like absolutely everything memorized and were sort of like hired mercenaries for political missions almost. You recall hearing something about it because they sent away, when you were on the island, you remember like somebody sent away for something, and it was because Selenar had like somehow knew that somebody wanted this particular flavor of dried fruit that could only be found on the island, and they wanted a huge shipment of it for something. And you remember somebody grumbling and like sitting at a card table and telling you about this client that they had.
Well, now that I think about it, I do recall that Selenar, the tabaxi, had a fair amount of renown. I don't think that anybody had heard about them since the mission, though.
Perhaps they
Oh.
just ended up somewhere else. Maybe they decided they didn't want to go through with the mission. After all, if you're a more worldly type, 500 gold is quite a place to go.
It's true.
Well, when we do go looking out there, it might be in our best interest to keep an eye out for bodies. That'll also probably, I hope anyway, lead us to the pieces we need to get ourselves out of here.
Hopefully.
Do we want to try contacting Tibby with the sending stone? I know the thing said they weren't going to work, but
Tibby has a sending stone that the
To the
king
king.
is under one of.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
once you get to Fendera, you could potentially contact the king with questions. She has it for emergencies, but
My bad.
you,
okay, sorry.
unless you chose that as your uncommon magic.
No, I have something else for that.
Well,
Do we want to?
start looking, I guess.
I feel like
Well-
I know we don't like the miasma in here, but it may be safer to start in the cave.
Well, that's why I made you all masks, and I'm again holding up the.
Again, I
Strips of backpack.
appreciate it deeply.
Thank
Good
you,
luck.
Beetle. It's very
Scory is
much
used to the
appreciated.
smell and just puts it on.
Of course.
Bresco has his hardened leather like lower face mask, and he's just gonna pop it up first and then put the other
Aw.
mask over it. Like,
Oh.
You can't smell it.
oh, absolutely not. I want no part of whatever's inside this thing.
That's fair. Julianne and anyone else who is putting theirs on, please make a con save.
I was trying to be polite.
Of course, no.
That's a 13.
This is
An
going to make
11.
you vomit if you keep it on.
Oh.
Okay, what
Maria's
if
not as inured to the scent as she thought.
I have a necklace of adaptation, which gives me advantage against harmful gases and vapors?
Okay. then you have advantage.
All right, let me do con again. Nope, worse. Okay, yeah. I'm so sorry, Beetle. I just have to breathe for a second.
Moria
see-
absolutely only rolled an 11, and she like puts it up like, oh, I'm used to this, and it's like, oh, I lied, and pulls it down and just kind of throws up
Oh,
and
it's extra sweaty.
hands it back and like cuts a little line off of the bottom of her fine clothes and uses that instead.
Yeah, you didn't want to cut up your clean, pretty dress for us. I mean, it's already torn. I do appreciate it, but
What are you talking about? Of course I cut up the clean dress. And she's holding up the dress and it already is somehow covered in
Oh,
dirt
God.
and filth and dismay. Like you could see bugs jumping off of it. It's like a miasma. All it was beetle bug.
you are very kind. Thank
And
you
so
for
you,
thinking
my
of us.
dear. Truly, it's my purpose.
Julian like turns around and tries to take some deep breaths, wipes like the tears from her eyes from
Scoria is absolutely still
nastiness.
gagging into the new one.
I think it might be in our best interest to just get moving. I think I'm willing to take the risk of the spores.
Yeah,
Fair
I'd
enough.
rather. Yeah.
Yes, where would you like to go? What are you doing?
Well, we should still be able to see the Eyes of Night. No, well, no, I lied. They only last for an hour.
I mean, I think most of us have dark vision of some kind,
Yeah.
and I do
Yes.
have a lantern, so
Sure.
we're not blind out here. We're just
Yeah.
My suggestion would be that we feel along the walls of the cave, discover what secrets it may hold, and hopefully it will lead to our escape.
good idea would be to do a
Scoria
perimeter
also
first.
kind of sneaks up behind Julian and like taps him and like, here, share, and pulls out, she does have a vial of perfume and like dabs a little bit on her new mask so that the smell isn't so bad.
Thank you so much. I really do
That'll
appreciate
get bearable.
Heinous.
It's the wildest thing. I'm surrounded by corpses all the time, and yet this is unlike anything I've ever encountered.
I thought I was used to it, but even I have my limits. That was something, all right.
Sure was. Whew. Yeah, I think taking a sort of walk around the perimeter all together might be a smart move.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
you mean the inside of the cave or the outside?
Inside.
Inside.
Okay.
Do ourselves a little kind of, because we kind of saw that back corner, but we mostly just were like, yeah, I think
Yeah.
a good circle around, and then we can like
Check nooks
okay.
and crannies.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're
Yeah.
trying to find like any bodies?
Bodies, clues, hints, pieces of paper, I think just stuff that may assist in our journey once we actually make our way out of the cave.
Scoria
Okay.
just want to like look in this little area if she sees that there's the little area there.
Okay. Yeah, everyone can make an investigation check, or if you'd like to use your action to give someone else advantage on investigation, you can do that.
Investigation.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna use the help action because I have a -1. So I'm kind of like, okay, I don't know what this means, but and pointing out any little thing that looks maybe out of place.
Who are you helping?
I am helping Julian.
Okay.
I rolled a 9, so I would, just help Julian there.
I got a dirty 20.
All right.
Hey.
Wow.
Oh.
You just kind of look around. Roscoe, you know exactly what to look for when searching for bodies, and you know where they may have been hidden. Poking around, you don't see any skeletons except for the one that you originally discovered that was out in the open. You do know that a number of things are sort of like in piles with mushrooms grown over them that may have once been supplies or like potentially a corpse, a few other things. However, unless you want to physically hack at these mushrooms and start uprooting things, it's going to be difficult to make out what they may have been. Most of them seem decayed.
Yeah. I'll point those out to the group and just say, I mean, it's gonna probably not be in great shape, but
I want to
Right.
try.
They're all around this area where it looks like the group had made camp.
yeah.
Mm.
I don't know if I'm gonna touch any of that, but it does look like this would have been where they maybe made camp for the nights.
I I was given something that allowed me to, I guess, work close to bad shit in the Fallen Grotto. Maybe if I poke around, if everyone takes a step back, I might have some luck at sort of just seeing if there's anything important underneath all of this.
Of course, Moonbeam. Go and do what you need to.
Okay. I will poke at the stuff and see if I can investigate further.
Are you staying in the area where they had camped, or are you still up there?
Oh, where they camped. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we don't see anything else anywhere, then
Okay.
Right.
I would say make like a nature check to see if you can pull back these mushrooms without disturbing anything.
Okay.
I'll help her with that if that's acceptable, just to kind of.
Sure.
I figured I could be the one touching it, like up
And-
closest. But if you wanna,
If I can just like maybe I have higher decks probably than you, so maybe I've got steadier hands and I could just be like, oh, don't do that. Let me
Yeah.
be out there.
His strong orcish hands.
all right, I'll roll nature. Solid 13.
All right. You guys sort of pull at these mushrooms, but the roots are fairly in there. And in order to get them out, you do kind of have to rip, which jostles them and releases a number of spores. The two of you will both take 2 points of poison damage.
Okay.
Wonderful. Okay.
I would say you can uncover some decayed clothes. What looks like it may have once been a backpack. The only things that seem to be intact are those 2 books that seem to have been magically spelled against any form of decay.
Okay.
Is anyone proficient in medicine?
Good.
No.
Oh, wait, no, Beetlebug is. I am very proficient.
Beetle, medicine check.
Will do. Let's see how that goes. That is a 24.
Nice.
Beetle, looking at this stuff and looking at the journal and what it's dated, you realize that this amount of decay to the point where you're seeing this skeleton to the point where everything else, which has been largely untouched, is just basically mush. It should have been more intact than this. It shouldn't be at this level of decay. This is the level of decay of something that has been left alone for decades, as opposed to just the 20 years.
Oh,
I don't think we really do need to hurry. I don't want to alarm you all, but the decay here is incredibly advanced, and she pokes at the mush with her bare fingers. I don't know if it's the mushrooms and their corrosive nature or whatever is out there, but really, we need to find these as quickly as we can.
Well, if there's nothing in here, I guess we need to go out there.
I imagine if they were in here, they would be, and he'll kick at some of the goop and rotting clothes and just be like, if it was here, we would have seen it.
Right. I don't want to go out there again, but I think if we were to form perhaps if we carried torches around with us, just a sign that we are flame-bearing beings of evolution, perhaps we'll be safe.
I do like that idea. If nothing else, you could probably use it to keep something at bay for a moment until the rest of us can get a little more handled.
Does anyone have a torch in their pack?
I do.
I
don't
did
have-
keep one torch
Okay.
on me from everything because I knew that it wasn't probably feasible to carry all 10 for a diplomatic mission, but like one in my backpack kind of thing.
Okay.
5 candles.
If you walk at a slow pace, you could potentially have a candle lit if you walk like that.
The TGI Fridays birthday candle.
Yeah.
The TGI Fridays parade.
No,
Yeah.
I'll probably just keep my lantern on my hip and not worry about it too much, at least for right now. It's daytime outside, right? Or as daytime as it can be.
I'm not sure. Shoot.
DM, is it daytime outside?
It's really hazy. Like you see light, but it's diffused through this like almost, spore like fog. There's
Alright,
some small light.
All right, I'll take that. That's fine. But yeah, I guess I mean, I have some of my, I soaked some of my arrows in fire in oil so that I can maybe light them on fire. So I'll probably just stick close to someone who has a torch. Yeah.
Scoria will
Scoria.
actually pass her torch off to somebody else because she can just do flame in her hand. Use that.
Yeah, I think Beetle will take that torch and she'll like be at her side.
Scoria does want to like sidle up next to Brosco and be like, so I picked this up off of a nice young man, and in my adventuring gear I did get blasting powder. And so she's gonna hand him a pouch of blasting powder in case something needs to be exploded.
I mean, I'll take it. I'll see what I can do with it.
I mean, I can set it off once it's put somewhere from a distance, but
Well,
you're the most likely one to get it somewhere we need it.
all right, I'll work with that logic. Sounds good. Sounds good to me. And he'll put it in his pack, and just be like, "Thank you very much." There is nope, not a wand.
Where are you guys headed?
You had mentioned what was in each direction. Would you mind repeating that?
Yeah. So the cave is back behind you. Farther north is a much more densely smoky area. To the east is a much more boggy area. And to the west is a much more densely wooded, like plant-based area.
Well, let's avoid the west for sure, because there might be more of that. Might be a little biased speaking here, but I believe the swamp
bog.
would be our best effort.
Yes, I figured you might think that.
Well,
I mean, frankly, they all sound rather terrible to me. So whatever everyone's most comfortable with.
Scoria looks around. She's like, honestly, y'all, I'm just here to look pretty, so.
And you are.
Smart.
I've spent probably longer than most of you were alive in swamps. I could guide us through it.
Thank you, Beetle.
you think
Okay.
so?
Go to the swamps.
So
Okay.
as you guys take off towards the swamps, you find yourselves moving through this almost sludge-like, viscous swamp water that is intensely foul smelling. Like, even to you, Beetle, this is not the smell of a healthy swamp. This swamp like needs some work. It needs some love. There are things moving in the water. The water is shallow. It's like knee length, and there are patches of non-wet areas. But in general, it's much more wet than you're used to. And you don't know the little trails and the places to step. I'd like you to make a survival check for the party.
Oh, can do. I'm also proficient, so this is going to be great.
Let's go, Beetle.
Let's go. Come on.
BB.
Please. That's an 18.
Nice.
Okay. You know the swamp pretty well, though, even though this swamp is not good.
Yeah, she's got her staff and she's poking around for safe places.
Right. So although there are a number of vines and they do sort of lash out towards you at one point, you're able to navigate the party successfully around it. There is a lot of bubbling fluid around the swamp. As we move forward, I'd like everybody to make, I'd say, a con save just to see how much of the fluid sort of gets in your nostrils and how well you're able to ward off.
Ooh.
Who are wearing masks can make this an advantage.
I'm at a 5.
Not bad.
Is this like a pandemic lesson, Maria?
Yeah.
All right.
Wear a mask.
Yeah.
That's
13 and a 9, so a 13.
18.
You're
for me.
rolling charisma save
Yeah,
and not
that's
con save.
Oh, charisma, god damn it. I have 1 plus to con. They were
Got
similar.
a 19.
All right.
Okay.
18 on my end.
All right, we got an 8 and we got another 13. So
Lucky
13.
number 13.
Okay. And then Scoria, what was yours again?
I rolled a 4 as my high on the advantage for 7.
Okay. So you're having a tough time. Hone, Beetle, and Scoria, you guys are not used to the swamp bog. Julianne, with your experience being near the grotto, you're able to sort of filter this out fairly easily. Brosco, you're having an okay time, but you're generally like a fairly tough person, and you feel fairly confident that you'll be okay. However, the other three of you find yourselves badly poisoned. You feel like a severe stomach pain. You're having trouble breathing. There's a lot of exhaustion and fatigue. So attack rolls and ability checks will be made at disadvantage currently, unless you have a spell or anything else that you'd like to use to relieve yourself of those symptoms.
We've got those restoration vials.
Oh, we do
but-
have the lesser restoration vial.
Yeah, but I guess it more. I don't know if we want to blow them all right now.
If it gets to a bad point, we'll use them. But
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah.
I think I have.
I
two
want
of
to
them
use
with
this,
me.
but
It's up to you.
oh wait. Scoria is going to use damn lucky and add a 10 to that for a 17.
In future, you need to declare that you're doing that before you know if you failed it.
Okay.
But it's okay. I
I
would
completely
say
forgot I had it until I just looked down and saw
it's okay. It's fine for now, but just in future.
yes.
So I would say only Han and Beetle suffer from that. Scoria, you do feel yourself coming down with something, but you just sort of like, and this like sparkly golden phlegm comes out of your nose and you feel fine. All right, moving forwards, slogging through the bog, exhausted after several hours, you guys do finally alight on a wet patch or a dry patch. Does anybody have a passive perception over 15?
Not me. Somebody has a
Wait.
16, don't they?
A 16, that would be me. I was muted.
I knew it.
You know, looking around, you do see that there are stones that seem to lead to some place and something that looks like a nest. Your instinct is to avoid this as you move through, but as you glance over, you see peeking out of the nest what looks to be like the sort of bright, shocking white of like some sort of a bone. And knowing that you may be looking for corpses, your eyes sort of switch over, your ears swivel.
Yeah, you
Okay.
watch like that weird like solar panel swiveling of her ears, and you watch her that and her little mismatched eyes, like a chameleon. Suddenly, they focus. See that there, a nest? This bone could be our travelers.
Do something. Do you guys want me to scout ahead, see if I can't pick it up, see what it is?
Certainly, and I could perhaps follow behind in a more preferable shape. And with that being said, I would like to activate wild shape and turn into an alligator.
Yeah, baby.
Right.
Scoria is gonna walk over to Brosco and like pat him on the shoulder and be like, good luck, and cast guidance.
Nice.
Thank you. Is that ability checks?
For 1 minute you have a D4 to ability check. Yeah.
All right, sweet. All right, cool. Yeah. Guess I'll wait for the crocodile real quick. Or the gator? Is it gator or crocodile?
Oh, it's a gator. It's
Okay, gator. Just checking in.
nastiest,
Gator.
crookedest gator.
I love it. It's like missing a bunch of toes.
Oh hell yeah!
Seeing Scoria pat Brosco, Julian will go over and just with a little bit of wariness pat the gator and also cast guidance.
I love it.
Beetle
This
and
is
gator
new to
probably make a
me.
weird gurgle at you in appreciation.
That little rumble
Okay.
noise.
Julian backs up a little bit.
Yeah, Brasco. My dice. Brasco will, I guess, sneak his way forward, as carefully and quietly as he can, and head towards the nest. I guess
Right,
I'm
so-
rolling.
As you move forward, are you going to be stealthing like through the water, like moving, kind of gliding through the swamp area? Are you going to be jumping on these stones over here in an attempt to like quietly land and not fall?
I would like to try and do that as quietly and light-footed as I can to just go from stone to stone.
And I will be following in the water. with my
Okay.
sneaky little gator form.
With my long orc legs. I don't know.
Those
Alright, so-
strong orc legs.
As you move through the water, Beetle, kind of looking underneath the film, you see that the water itself is infused with some of this like purple poisonous ooze. And as you sort of like suction your nose against it as you dive, you feel like a sting of like this sort of like caustic acidic feel against your like eye film as well as your nose, and you get the sense that this water is poisoned. I would say in your alligator form, it doesn't necessarily bother you. What's your strength, Brosco?
11.
Make an athletics check.
Okay. I'm gonna use my inspiration on that one.
Okay.
Okay, way better. 17. Oh, athletics, you said. Where is that? 17.
Okay, you slip over the rocks, jumping back and forth as you do so, and then roll for your stealth. But I would say you don't fall in.
I don't fall in, you said?
You do not fall in, but just
All right.
roll this. You can do this stealthily.
All right, cool. Where did you go? 19 total for stealth.
Okay. You jump back and forth across this area. You feel like you're fairly stealthy. Jumping over here and just sort of balancing on the edge of this rocky area, you're able to look down and see that it's maybe like a 12-foot jump, but you do see like what looks to be a nest made of seaweed, moss, algae that's sort of been dried and caked into a general curve. Curved into it and almost like set into the algae as if layers and layers and layers have been placed over it is a human skeleton.
Okay.
It is covered, so you're not sure if the skeleton has anything on it, what the skeleton's like anatomy is. This part of the skull is visible and it looks humanoid.
I'm gonna see if I can't gesture at Gatorbug over there.
Okay.
Beetle
And
gator.
Gatorbug, and direct her a little bit closer towards the skeleton and be like, "Do you think you can hold me if I step on you for a second?"
You're gonna see out like just like like the top of Beetle's alligator form, and as you say that, she'll pop up a little bit more, nod, and then brace herself against stone, or at
Okay.
least the shore.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and. I don't know if I can. Do you think this section here I could probably stand on?
Yeah.
All right, then I'm just going to use Beetlebug as a kind of a waypoint to bridge the gap a little bit, rather than rather than try to jump over 12 feet of water.
That'll work. You're able to move on to the sort of little island area, looking through the nest. Are you breaking it apart? Are you excavating the skeleton? What would you like to do? Or are
I'm gonna do it carefully and try to inspect and maybe excavate the skeleton and see what it may have had on it, and just generally kind of see if I can find anything in this nest. But I want to be careful about it.
Okay, make a medicine or investigation check using your strength modifier, because this is more about peeling back the various layers of things in order to pull apart the parts you need.
So I don't use my investigation modifier, just
So
my strength.
Investigation is usually intelligence, but this would be strength based. So if you're proficient in investigation, you add your proficiency bonus, but you sub a different ability score for it.
Okay, cool. So proficiency is 2. It's a total of 15.
Okay. You're able to peel it back enough that you feel like you're able to get to part of the hand. And while some of the clothes have been sort of like sloughed off, the hand is holding a piece of paper with a ripped, frayed edge that looks absolutely pristine.
I would like to take that and take a look at it.
Okay, you're not proficient in Arcana, so you have no idea what it says, but there are some runes written.
I think that looks kind of probably like our ticket. So I will tuck that in nice one of my little bandolier, just chest pockets, just to keep that safe. And I just want to make a quick once over on the skeleton again to see if there are any identifying pieces to it. Like maybe the clasp like we found on the other one, just anything.
Gotcha. Turning to go, you do notice out of the corner of your eye some of the seaweed around you like shifting. And And as you turn to sort of like cracking and pulling apart this nest, like a pair of eyes move up from under the seaweed and look at you. I'd like you to make a wisdom save.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
It's the
Oh,
Batuta.
that's a bad times. Wait, I have guidance. I would like to maybe use guidance. That's a D6 you said, or a D4?
No, the D4.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not really going to do anything for me, but it'll maybe.
You can. In future, guidance only lasts a minute.
Oh shit, you're right. I won't use it then. That's fine. It's really not going to do anything no matter what. So because I just thought maybe it would be a slightly more impressive roll. 5. It was the
You
difference
look at-
between a 5 and an 8. So
And this sort of like unearthly, beautiful woman begins to emerge from the swamp. Her hair is made of seaweed. And she has sort of like sharp features. She sort of like glistens in this like beautiful, almost amphibious way as she sort of like crawls towards you like the ring style, but she somehow makes it look graceful.
No.
Roscoe.
I'm charmed, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm crouched on a nest of seaweed with a gator probably nearby me, looking at this beautiful, beautiful woman. Oh my goodness.
Oh my god.
There.
Not usually one to fall for romantic things, but she might be the one.
No, Roscoe.
Does anybody have Sylvan?
I don't.
I might actually. Let me check my sheet real quick. I do
Oh.
not, unfortunately. But would Druidic count in any way?
No.
Damn
The
it.
creature opens like mouth with like broken, jagged teeth and gives you like an absolutely charming smile. She has like little frog dimples that bulge outward instead of inward. And just sort of like raising a hand up to you, she mutters something in a voice that sounds almost like wind chimes. The rest of you kind of hear this sort of grating metal sound, like someone jingling loose, rusty change.
Wow.
Hey. Hey.
Did you guys find anything?
The creature shakes her head a moment and then says, in very broken common, what are you doing destroying my nest?
I wasn't trying to destroy it. I just wanted to look. I was looking for something,
That's my stuff.
but it's in a dead body.
It's my dead
Body. It's
body.
your.
Let me see, they're very beautiful.
It's your dead. You can. It's your dead body. You can have it.
Can I have my paper back, please? It's mine. You took it.
Oh,
As-
okay. He's gonna start reaching in. I mean,
Okay, as he's reaching out, Beetle is going to. I want to attack her as a gator. I want to pop out of the water, snap my toss her up there, and use
Okay,
my inspiration.
Yo, death roll that bitch.
leap out and lunge at her.
Like,
y'all were gonna just let him do stuff.
Oh.
all right, what roll should I make?
An attack roll.
An attack roll. You're right. Oh my god. All right, let me. Cat's claws technically because I'm in gator form. Let's see how this goes.
Okay, Brosco, roll initiative as well.
All right, that is an 18 to hit.
18 hits.
Get her.
Oh yeah.
Kill her.
What is my proficiency?
Yeah.
Initiative.
And I'll roll slashing, and I'm going to add the inspiration to that. So that is a 1 with a plus d4. Let me roll that d4.
Or the
That's
Oh,
Guidance.
the guidance.
Yeah.
Guidance.
Guidance will not hit, unfortunately.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it.
No, I did the same thing. It's all good. I
Cool.
rolled a 14 for my initiative.
Okay. So go ahead and make that attack roll for damage, Beetle.
Will do. I rolled a 1 for that.
Okay. So the creature like jumps back as you barely catch her on the arm. And she calls out like, "Oh, save me, please." Roscoe, you're up.
Too fun.
I
Um,
hate her.
So perfectly hideous, Maria.
I love her.
She
But
does
really,
love you.
I guess Brasco's gonna, in relation to me and the I guess where specifically Are they both just like kind of right in front of me?
Yeah. She was like kind of creeping toward you.
Okay. I guess I'll lunge at Beetlebug and try to attack her with my dagger.
Okay.
Unfortunately. I'm sorry, BB.
I think that took the get your ass out of here, Gator. Get your ass out of here, Gator.
That's a 19 to hit.
Gonna kill her.
Beetle gets her. This is elder abuse. This entire session.
Do I have to use my sneak attack? I don't want to.
You don't have
Okay. You take 6
Like,
damage total.
you see that you could injure her more and you choose not to. It's like
Yeah.
seeing a weakness in defenses. You can choose not to take advantage of it if you want.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. But it is a total of 6 damage with my dagger as I lunge forward and just stab into this gator. Ah, leave my girlfriend alone.
She's not your girlfriend. She's just a thought.
You're a gator, so it comes out as
She's just a thought.
Smog
gator
thought.
does not-
For
Yeah.
life.
All right. It is the creature's turn. The creature gives you like a toothy smile. It says, "Thank you. You helped get rid of this horrible creature." And it's going to make a slam attack at you. That's a nat 20.
Oh, no.
What?
Why are we getting my ass kicked so
No.
much this session?
All right, your alligator form is going to take 11 points of bludgeoning damage as it like rakes sharp claws and like pushes the gator into the water with all like inhuman strength.
What?
Do you guys see? Do they see this?
Yeah.
You guys would hear something. You wouldn't be able to see it necessarily because it's behind this outcropping, but you know something's going on. You can hear this voice.
Oh no!
Just get your ass out of here, Gator.
Beetle, remember these are temporary hit points, so you shouldn't be
Oh,
marking down
gotcha.
points.
Okay.
You gain 10 hit points for whatever the gator's HP is.
Ah, yes.
Are you still in gator form?
I am, because I am going to swim back to the shore as fast as my little gator ass can get me.
Fair enough. Is that what you're doing with your turn?
Yes, I am going to use all of my movement. Here, let me just check. Ba-do-do-do. I started there. Oh yeah, that'll be enough to get me to this rock right here.
Okay. Yeah, you can swim over there.
Yeah, the gator is going to like just get on that rock. Clearly very damaged.
All right, Brosco, you're up.
I think I'm gonna chase after Beetlebug because she told me to kill her.
You
so-
simp!
So you're not, I mean, you definitely can. You're not mind controlled. Being charmed is regarding someone as like a very close friend or trusted acquaintance, and you very much like them, but you aren't like under mind control to do what they ask.
Okay, so I mean, am I allowed to just run towards Beetlebug then?
If you want to attack Beetle, you absolutely can. Like that's well within. If you think your potential soulmate, like with
Make
attacked by
out with her.
But
weird cat alligator needs to be killed, that's fine.
I think ideally I would like to get away from this creature, but because I do think there's as much as I maybe feel about this, I do think there is an ulterior goal of get this piece of paper where I need to get it.
Okay.
Is that
for it back? So you do know it's not what she wants, but you can still do it.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna maybe I'll move just like halfway. Like I'm really like
You're really torn.
I'm not sure, but I'm like I know I got to do this, but I just and he'll yell back, "I'm sorry."
Just like the gator sitting on the rock,
It's
tears in
just-
its eyes.
I need it so we can get out of here.
Okay, so let me read some of the.
If that's not allowed, then that's fine. But I'm
No, she has a list of things that she can choose to do if you leave her.
okay.
Okay, so you start to move, but she calls out, "Wait!" And you cannot bear to move more than 5 feet away from her. But
Okay.
you can't move those 5 feet.
So I was like what here?
Yeah, you can move like over here.
Yeah, I'll do that.
You just
Just
sort of
kind
jump
of-
over.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I have to go.
Right.
Are we
I'm just-
seeing this now?
Yeah, do you guys want to jump in?
Yes.
All right. It lined you guys up as Hone, Julian, and Scoria. So Hone, if the rest of you do not want to jump in, you can just skip your turn. That's fine. But Hone, what would you like to do?
Yeah. So I can't see anything. So I can't see Brasco right now, right?
Yeah, there's like a sort of rocky wall that he's behind, but you can hear what's happening. You can hear like this voice saying something and like Brasco communicating with it and it asking for help.
Brasco, are you possessed again?
Maybe. Oh, that's right. I was possessed last game.
I guess I'll move over. I guess I'll try. Yeah, I mean, not that I can communicate with an alligator, but I'll be like, hey, what's going on? And I expecting some sort of response from Beetlebug.
Oh yeah, deep gator grumble, snapping of jaws, frantic gesturing with its little nub arm, like.
Okay. I guess
Right.
I'll just ready something. So if I see something
Say
If
something.
you-
other than Brasco, other than Brasco come out from, I guess, this walled area, I'm gonna shoot it.
Okay. Julianne.
Kind of the same thing. If I'm not seeing anything directly, I think I would come to the edge of the water, and just like try to peer through the walled area and just yell, Brasco, what's going on?
Okay.
Am I allowed to yell back?
Yeah, sure. I would say you can use your too.
Yeah, he just says, I can't leave her. I don't
Right.
want to leave her.
Oh, that's bad.
Scoria. Yeah, you can't quite see her, but you can tell there's like something in that general area and you would have heard most of what happened.
Oh,
I can't hear you.
I was muted. I forgot I was talking to the dog. Can she take the chance of possibly accidentally hitting Brasco on a disadvantage and try to since Beetle's running, she's like, all right, something bad is back there, and try to hit whatever else is back there?
I think there's rock in between you and her. There's this rock wall. If you moved around like over here, maybe you'd have a shot.
Between okay.
Yeah, like over here.
Yeah, because I have 120 feet for my Eldritch Blast. So
nice.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you
she's gonna-
move over and I would say you have her in sight at that point.
okay.
She would have partial cover.
All right. So that's still disadvantage, or I forget how
Not-
it works.
Not if it's in range. Partial, like half cover adds +2 to your AC and 3/4 cover adds +5 to your AC. So
That's
it's
right.
hard.
That's, okay.
Got it.
I always forget how cover works. It's like one of those things that I rarely use.
Worries.
That's a natural 20.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
1d10. That's a grand total of 4 points on a natural 20. But I
You're
still
doing
did
it.
Doing that damage.
fair enough. So you watch Brasco as this magical purple fire like slams into your new girlfriend and she cries out in pain. It's her turn at this point, and she shrinks back. She's going to move over here and just sort of like gestures to you. Please help me. I'm not trying to hurt anyone. I'm just part of the menagerie.
Is it? Oh, it's not my turn yet, though, is it? I don't think.
It's Beetle's turn.
Okay, sorry.
It is, and I do believe I can cast spells in animal form, yes?
I don't know, dude.
I don't think so.
Look up your character sheet.
I will check wild shape.
I don't think so, but I also know I've only DM'd a Circle of the Land Druid, and I think Circle of the Moons are a little different. I don't remember which class you have.
I don't think you can. In wild shape form, you'd need to pop back out.
Yeah, gotcha.
I believe.
Yep, you can't cast spells and you can't speak. So I think I'm gonna spend that turn getting out of animal form because I need to go full grandma on this bitch.
Okay. You drop your form. Is it an action to transform or to drop your form?
I will check. I'm pretty sure it is.
I feel like it's a bonus. I could be wrong though.
I know a lot of it depends on Circle of the Land versus
yeah,
Moon.
it's weird. I'm only
for me.
Yeah, I'm only playing a Circle of Stars in the other game. So I'm only trying to remember, like, okay, what do I know from that?
It is one action to change, and I'm going to presume that it's one action to hop out of change.
Okay. Do you transform into yourself? Is that your turn?
Yes.
All right, Roscoe, it's your turn next.
I'm gonna come back around the wall this way, and I'm gonna say, leave her alone. She's just part of the menagerie. It's fine. It's fine.
Do you even know what that means?
Maybe. I don't know.
Fair enough.
Is there anything I can roll to maybe try and break out of the charm?
Well, I believe it's dependent on 30 feet.
Yeah, it's an hour until it ends, and you can't roll another saving throw after that. It's only if one of their companions attack you or she attacks you. So
great.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing as well.
Great, love it. Okay,
so
I
have that spell.
So yeah, I think he's just kind of going, leave her alone, guys. It's okay.
I love her.
She's real nice. She just has it's complicated.
Sure. The rest of you, do you want to continue combat or do you want to talk? What's going on?
I think Julian has another move.
Okay.
So sort of seeing that once again, one of her companions is not quite in their right state, she's going to, in sort of like a burst of protectiveness, send out her Twilight Sanctuary.
Okay.
Which will give everybody 1d6 plus 3 temporary hit points, but also it will end one effect if we so choose. So I would specifically be looking at Brasco and be like, no,
Nice.
something's wrong with you and it's not right. So I can end the charm.
Yay!
Remind me
Love
what the
that.
range on the aura is. I just want to make sure you can get him from here.
It's a 30-foot radius.
Nice. Okay.
So yeah.
So you send out that aura of protection. Brosco, you feel this sort of like white mist settle over you. And with it, the charm effects lift. So you aren't necessarily predisposed to like her, but you are seeing her with clear eyes now.
Oh shit! All right. There's a monster in there. Oh god. And I mean, I've already gone my turn, so I'm just standing there like,
Okay.
stop happening to me.
Are you going to try and kill it?
I don't think so. I think I would rather. I don't think I want to go back inside there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you guys want to do? Do you want to be in combat? Do you want to do something else? The creature is not actively pursuing you right now.
All right.
I mean,
Actually, I've got an
Did you
idea.
find anything? Scoria yells across to him.
I did.
That's the X card symbol, Kristen. Are you okay?
Yeah. I was just saying, I was just like, no, I'm good. I don't need to fight whatever is behind the wall.
Okay.
Beetle actually, like, as she hears menagerie, you see like a terrible little idea behind those piss green eyes. Menagerie, you say? Would you be like, she yells over, would you like to trade for that paper?
I have it.
Oh, you have it.
Oh yeah, I was gonna give it back to her, but then I attacked and then I stabbed you.
You did. We're going to have a talk about that later, but we need to discuss your taste in women. But that aside, let's leave her. Sorry for the inconvenience, madam, but we do need it. We'll be out of your real estate within moments.
Look, my things. You attacked me. I demand recompense.
All right, fine. You want payment? I've got. Beetle actually is gonna search on herself and look for her shiniest swamp rocks. Like, you just watch, like, she's pulling stuff out, like cartoon-esque, like a chicken foot. There is specifically the rest of the jar with the life leeches ashes. Here, she holds it up for it to see. If you want any of these as payment, just let us know.
Is it shiny?
Oh, it's very shiny. I'll make sure it glints. Are you going to attack me if I come over and bring that to you?
I haven't attacked anyone.
The scars on my back would disagree, but I will hand it over to Brosco, and Brosco will hand it over to you. Is that clear? You creature.
Self-defense, you bit me.
Yes, but you are charming my friend. You are clearly not his taste in women.
I think he really likes me.
With the direction this conversation's going. Give me that thing. Whatever it is.
I will hop over, hand over the jar, and
while that's happening, Scoria does yell across, I'm more his type anyway.
None of you know what my type is.
Why are you inciting violence?
And Braska's just gonna like take the jar and like lean around the wall and put it on like this little floating piece of whatever right here. She's just gonna put it right there and then like move back a little further.
Julian just looks over to Hone. What?
I'm just glad it's might be over.
it's swamp
I don't know.
politics. I've had much worse engagements with mushroom people. Believe me, they are fiercely protective of their picking zones. And she looks happy, right?
I didn't even see what she looked
Unless you
like.
want to look back over the side, you don't care.
I'll take a peek from where I am.
Oh,
Just kind of lean over to see what's going on over there. I'm not moving any closer. I'm just trying to like look through this gap here.
All right. You peek over and she's like kind of hunched up, like looking through the sand jar. She looks up and smiles at you. Make another wisdom save.
Shit!
God damn it.
Wait, Beetle also probably can Beetle see her from where she's at? Because she's on the same place. Oh god.
That one.
I'm assuming Brosco moved forward to peek, but
Yeah, I just leaned forward a little. That was a natural 20 though. So
Thank
Okay.
God.
You learned your lesson.
she smiles up at you,
No,
and
he didn't learn his lesson. He got lucky.
yeah, you get the feeling like just as she looks through the corpse sand, like maybe this isn't meant to be after all.
all right, cool. And I'm gonna hustle my ass back across the pond. Because I no longer want to be a part of that.
Yep, same Beetle. You know, like that one gif of like that creature walking across the ice, lifting up its little cloak. That's what Beetle looks like as she's hopping across the stones.
Enough. You guys scamper off, paper in hand, and as you sort of look around, deciding where to turn to next in the rest of this pocket dimension, we are going to end there for the night. We'll return next week with the rest of the adventure. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, wow.
Before we end, I want to plug a few things. So next week we have this lovely adventure again, and Tomorrow at 6 p.m. we have Chaos Commentary with Kat and Kristen. Thursday at 5 we have At the Threshold. Friday at 7 p.m. we have Solemn Exteri. And let's start with Beth. Beth, do you want to give Instagram, Discord, whatever handles, plug anything?
Sure. Yes. My Twitter is at Beth Masco. It should be in the stuff. My Instagram, that's a great question. I don't remember what it is, but I'll find out for next week.
Allison?
I'm Allison. You can catch me here on Tuesday for City of Arches. You can catch me here Thursday. Thursday for Tuesday for MissGuided Magic, and on Saturday nights you can catch me over at Exquisite Corpse Presents for Say a Prayer for California Sister Cities. We're going on some adventures next time. And over on Twitter you can find me at It's a Feral.
All right. Chris.
Hi, I'm Chris. Sometimes go by Kristen, but that would get confusing. You can find me over on Twitter at Darcerilish. You can also find me on Saturday nights over on Exquisite Corpse Presents. And you can find me every other night here.
All right, Kristen?
Hey, I'm Kristen. Thanks for watching. You can only find me on Twitter, and that's at Amazing Creation Agent. I post once in a while, but we can still be friends.
All right, and Abby.
Make sure I wasn't muted that time. But hi, I'm Abby, and on the Bird website, you can find me at Enough of Abby, where I am your local Indigenous nerd talking about all sorts of games and nerdery. I'm having my hot girl TPRPG summer. I'm doing a lot of things, but aside from playing with this amazing crew, and oh my God, Maria, you absolutely amazing GM. That was amazing. I am doing a lot of things. For instance, tomorrow night at 6:30 around this time, you can catch me on Milwaukee by Night, Endless Elegy on Mr. Mephisto's channel, where I will be taking on the role of yet another wrinkly little hairless creature, Pixie, a Nosferatu. You can also find that Oz podcast on Spotify, edited by the amazing Foxfire RPG. Elizabeth, she's absolutely amazing. Not Elizabeth, that was the name of her character. Charlotte, I am a terrible friend. And yeah, keep your eyes out, especially for things with tendrils, because I might be doing some stuff this coming September.
And you can find me everywhere, Maria Oglesby Art. I take commissions over on Etsy, also under Maria Oglesby Art. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.
Bye.